This is Lyqa Maravilla, a registered psychometrician, a trying hard educator, motivational speaker, and author. And it's time for us to share stories, insights, and lessons as we keep trying hard to be better together. Last week, we talked about how to know yourself. But it's different kasi to know something and someone and to understand them. So in this episode, our goal is for you to try hard to understand yourself. All right, welcome to another episode of the Trying Hard podcast. If you haven't followed the podcast yet, don't forget to hit the follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening to it, it's the podcast, follow na lang din, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. We have more conversations to be had. And this is just part 2 of a 3-part series, yung trying hard natin, trying hard to find yourself. Last week, we talked about how to know yourself. We talked about how this entire series is backing on something that I wrote a long time ago, which is identity isn't found, it's made. And so the goal at the end of this 3-part series is that you can have parang somewhere to start when it comes to becoming that person, to creating that identity, to making the you that you can be proud of, that you want to be. Last week, we took a deep dive on who you are. So yun yung question natin last week to answer, who are you? Talked about your likes and dislikes, strengths and challenges, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And now that you've taken stock of who you are right now in this chapter of your life, we can move on to the next part na, next step na, which is trying hard to understand yourself. Now, the irony of things is that when you talk about understanding yourself, it really doesn't begin sa kung sino ka ngayon. A lot of that ay resulta of things that happened in your past. And that is the first thing that we're going to talk about. There are 3 P's na pag-uusapan natin dun sa pagsasagot natin ng tanong na why are you like this? And the first P is your past. I'll just let that sink in for a little bit. No? Lahat tayo may past eh. The fact that you're here listening to this, you're able to comprehend this, ibig sabihin there have been a lot of things na nangyari sa iyong buhay. Okay, marami nang nangyari sa iyo, marami kang experiences that may be unique sa ibang tao, shared with other people. And all of these past experiences help us become who we are. It becomes a part of you. And that's just how it is. But one thing that I try to share to everyone who would listen is this. Our past may explain our behavior, but it doesn't excuse it. Ano ibig sabihin nun? A lot of people are living in the past in that they blame people, circumstances, decisions made for them in the past sa kung sino sila ngayon. And because they don't have ownership over yung pagkatao nila ngayon, kasi nga tinuturo nila yung blame sa past nila, they are unable to move forward. And I don't want you to fall prey to that. I don't want you to be part of yung percentage ng population who believes that way. Na parang ganito ako kasi yung nanay ko ganito, yung tatay ko ganito, yung kapatid ko ganito. Ganito ako kasi lumaki kami, hindi kami mayaman. Lumaki kami kasi kami na-spoiled ako, so ganito ako. And that kind of thinking is very limiting. And I've seen people, the irony of the situation is, I've heard people make that excuse for almost every situation in life. I've had a friend who would tell me na, hindi, ganito kasi ako, kasi nung bata kami, mahirap kami. So, dahil mahirap kami, ganito ugali ko. That same attitude, which is not really that good, I witnessed in another friend. And then this friend naman would say, kasi mayaman kami nung bata ako eh. Mayaman kami. And because I was my lola's favorite, I was the darling of our family, I developed that habit and so I'm like that. Alam niyo yun? Yung same attitude from 2 different people with 2 different backgrounds, pero they're doing the exact same thing. Now that can be as simple as, kasi ang not to, again, I won't name them, no? Pero that behavior that I was talking about was actually the way that you know how some people, pag kumakain kayo, they would hoard the food. Diba? Kukunin nila yung food sa plate nila, pero hindi nila uubusin. Hindi nila kakainin. Kahit na may mga ibang kakain pa, hindi nila iniisip kung hindi matitiran yung mga kasama nila. Ganun sila. Both of them. Pero again, from 2 different backgrounds. So, ano sinasabi ko dito? Again, our past can explain our behavior. Pero, hindi niya dapat i-define kung sino tayo for the rest of our lives. And Christine says na nakaka-relate daw siya. I hope that it's in a good way, no? But the thing is, again, no matter, yun yung sad part no matter how terrible our past is, we have to choose to move forward. And I don't say that na parang privileged ka kasi, privileged ka kasi madali yung buhay mo. No, I have so many experiences in my past. Some of them I haven't really verbalized yet kasi they're really terrible. Some of them, even the closest friends na I haven't shared sa kanila. But I can be who I am today kahit papaano because I knew the role that those experiences played in my past. I knew what they tried to turn me into. But knowing that and going through that, knowing yung mga inclinations, predilections, tendencies ko, that's what's keeping me from falling prey dun sa cycle of oppression, cycle of abuse, doon sa paggawa ng exact same thing, maybe on a different scale, sa mga bagay na ginawa sa akin when I was younger. Okay? So again, look at your past. Okay? Maybe may mga clues dyan sa kung sino ka and who you became. Okay? Clingy ako sa friends kasi broken family yung pinanggalingan ko. So, I tend to measure myself based on the relationships I have. I'm anxious, for example, sa akin. I'm socially anxious kasi I come from a background na you're measured by your last na success. So, dapat talagang magaling ka, di ba? Pag nag-uwi ka ng test paper na 99, sasabihin bakit hindi pa 100. Pag nag-uwi ka ng 100, sasabihin bakit hindi lahat ng subject 100. So, that was my past. But I could keep blaming my past for who I am, or I could just choose to be better. Let go of that. Diba? Who I will become is partly because of my past, pero it's not a reaction sa kung ano yung nangyari sa past ko. It's not something na I will become despite my past or because of my past. Hindi. My past happened and now I'm being this. There's recognition, there's affirmation, pero hindi na ako nakatali dun sa past ko. Okay? So again, look at your your columns na ginawa natin last episode. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Try to trace saan nanggaling to mga fears ko, anxieties ko, tendencies ko, ba't ganito yung ugali ko, saan galing yan, saan ko namana yan, no? And now that you have that, now we can choose to move forward. Okay, so yun yung unang question. Look at your past, no? Now, the second thing na pwedeng maging sagot doon sa why are you like this, okay, is your peers, no? Your peers. Now, before we discuss that, let's just take a quick break, okay?
So, siya yung bumibili ng planner, taon-taon kasi New Year, New You. Oo. Pero hindi niya naman sinusulatan. Kasi daw pangit yung sulat niya, sayang yung papel. Tapos minsan, January, okay pa, sinusulatan niya, ginagamit niya. February, okay pa. Tapos susunod niyang bubuksan, September na. Ganun ka rin ba? Ako rin kasi, kaya nga gumawa ko ng sarili kong planner. Ito ang planner na para sa mga try-hard, kagaya ko. At dahil hindi nakakahiya maging trying hard, mas nakakahiya to not try at all, nilagay na natin sa cover mismo. This planner is undated, kaya pwede mo simulan gamitin kahit kailan. At kung makakalimutan gamitin pwede mong gamitin ulit. Walang masasayang na papel. But I should warn you, this planner is not for everyone. Parang yung podcast natin. Others may look at it and say it's too much or it's too messy. Pero I made these choices para hindi kayo mahiyang gamitin. This is the kind of planner you can use and abuse. Aside from the monthly spread, weekly spread, at yung task list, meron din siyang mga activity sheets that you can use sa inyong journey sa personal development. At kung ready ka na bumili para sa'yo o para panregalo, you can go to bit.ly/tryinghard planner. And for the first 100 orders hanggang November 30, I will also include a dedication kung gusto nyo lang naman. You just let us know dun sa notes kung kaninong pangalan ang isusulat. Now, I always tell you to dream big, work hard, and start now. This planner right here is actually one of my big dreams, so thank you all for making it come true.
Alright, so balik na tayo sa discussion natin. Again, why are you like this? Trying hard to understand yourself. Number 1, look at your past. Number 2, na-mention ka na kanina, your peers. Marami na sa atin nakarinig niyan, di ba? Birds of the same feather flock together, or yung joke na birds of the same feather make a good feather duster. Importante lang na kunin doon is that pag magkakasama daw kayo, magkakapareho kayo. Okay, so the company that you keep kind of explains who you are. Even in the Bible, and again, I'm not preaching to you or anything, but for those of you who have read the Bible, probably are familiar with that. Diba? Tell me who your friends are and tell you who you are. Itong mga quotes na to, nakikita natin yan kahit saan. We know how big yung influence of our peers sa kung sino tayo. Why are you like this? Look around. Sino yung mga kaibigan mo? Baka ganun din sila. Okay? And we pick up habits, we pick up yung words, phrases, good and bad din from our peers. Now, I'm not saying na, okay, cut off all your ties, di ba? Huwag ka na magkaroon ng kaibigan para hindi ka magkaroon ng negative na behavior or para hindi ka maging ganyan ngayon. But what I'm saying is that we can learn to detach ourselves from the attitudes and behaviors na hindi natin gustong makuha sa mga kaibigan natin. Hindi ibig sabihin na mahilig magwalwal ang friends mo, kailangan mo magwalwal with them. Diba? You can be there in the party, be there in the situation, of course, after the pandemic, hawag ngayon. And not drink, right? You can still refuse. Ang importante is that you have these lines drawn. These are my friends. I like spending time with them. But the things that I don't like about them, hindi ko kailangan gayahin. And the things that I want na gayahin sa kanila, I could pick up. Okay? So again, look around. Who are your peers? That could explain a lot about why you are like that. And yun, yung knowledge lang. Again, di ba? Self-awareness yan naman ang drive nitong 3-part episode na yan. Yun lang, yung knowledge lang na, okay, kukunin ko to, eto hindi ko kukunin. Etong habit na to, hindi ko gusto yan, hindi healthy yan for me, so hindi ko yan gagayahin. Kasi you have that freedom. Hindi ibig sabihin na all your friends are like this, you automatically have to be like them. Okay? And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Okay? No friendship is worth your personal identity. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you are going to have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. Your friends, no matter how close they are to you right now, walang assurance that they will be with you until the end. Like, you could hope, you could try. Diba? I've tried so many times before. But if there's one thing that my experiences have taught me, it's that you can hold on to relationships, to friendships as tightly as you could. Pero if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So don't change your entire identity just to be like the people around you. Okay? So you always have that choice. Okay? Now, yung third na reason why you are like that is another P. Okay? It's called proximity. Okay? Ano ba yung proximity? Bakit iba pa siya sa peers? Well, the idea here is that, again, nature versus nurture, di ba? Yung ating pagkatao versus yung environment that we grew up in, alam natin na both of them affect us. And yung proximity, kung saan tayo malapit, sino yung nakapaligid sa atin, yung environment natin, the kind of living situation that we have, really lends a lot sa kung bakit tayo naging ganito. Okay? If you're around people, again, hindi naman din sila friend mo, no, or anything, pero malapit sila sa'yo. If you're surrounded by people who are always better than you are, you may develop a certain feeling na, okay, hindi ako magaling. Which is sad. Kasi if you look at it from a different perspective, you may be in a different set of friends or different set ng classmates and you could be the smartest of the bunch. Nagkataon lang na sobrang gagaling na ng mga kasama mo. So yung proximity natin is something that we can look at. Okay, ano ba yung malapit sa akin? Ano yung sitwasyon ko? Was I raised in a village? Or was I raised in a commune? Was I raised in a compound na puro mga kamag-anak ko yung nandun, kaya buong buhay ko kino-compare ako sa mga pinsan ko? Like, all of these things, they play a role sa kung sino tayo. So, we are ourselves. Okay? We are like this. We became this person partly because of our past, of our peers, and of our proximity. Okay? Proximity sa lugar, proximity sa ibang tao, proximity sa certain institutions, right? If you were raised in the church, if you weren't, what kind of church is that? What kind of leadership yung nandun sa church na yun? All of these affect who you are. Okay? And sometimes, okay, itong finding connections dun sa mga voices that we hear in our head really helps us heal. One of the things that my therapist also shared with me It's something that was affirmed to me then. Kasi I've been trying to do this for a long time, but I didn't have the words for it. But what he would love to say, lagi niya sinasabi sa akin, is that you have to understand that these are echoes. Echoes from people in your past, from people in your life. If meron ka naririnig na you have to be perfect, is that you speaking or an echo from your past? Someone maybe sa circle mo who would always expect you to be perfect. Is this my thought? Is this my belief sa sarili ko? Or is this something na galing sa iba? And the more that we understand na itong mga belief na ito, itong good, bad, and ugly that you listed the last time, your strengths and challenges, kung hindi sila totoo, okay? And again, self-awareness comes in again, no? Kasi some of these, alam natin, are just fears and anxieties. If you are able to connect those with those people, not to blame them, and not to go berserk and awayin mo sila, sisisihin mo sila. Hindi yun ang goal dito. But if you're able to connect that with the certain way that you're brought up, your past, your peers, your proximity with other people, you understand that this is not from me. I heard this from someone else. And because this is just an echo in my past, I can move forward. I can cut those ties. Parang, the way that sometimes, some people in my past would tell me, yan si Lyqa, mayabang yan. Pero, I have to ask myself, mayabang ba ako? Or yun yung pananaw nila sa akin? And because hindi ko ma-change yung pananaw nila, and alam ko sa sarili ko na hindi ako nagyayabang in me being who I am. I just need to honor God with who I am and live dun sa fullest na potential na binigay niya sa akin. Because I know in my heart it's not true. I can cut off that tie. That's something you think about me. It's not who I am. Pwede rin sabihin ng iba, di ba? Ay, dati, yan, masungit yan. Well, yes, masungit ako dati. Totoo yan. Mataray ako, critical ako of other people. But that was me before. Hindi na ako yan ngayon. So now I can cut off that string. You can keep looking at those strings, tying them together, cutting them, looking at it. And then we understand, okay, so I may be like this because of everything that happened to me, all the people around me, but I also have the freedom to be someone else. And it's only when we get to that point that we understand ourselves that we can now start building on top of it. So yun yung gusto kong mangyari. And yun ako excited sa inyo sa susunod nating episode. Kasi in the next episode naman, we're going to talk about trying hard to be yourself. Now, what does that mean and what does that take? Pag-uusapan natin sa susunod na episode. So, don't forget to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, to follow if you're listening to the podcast. Yan ang pag-uusapan natin sa susunod. Ang question naman natin is, who do you want to be? I'll give you a list of questions and steps then that you can take to get it started. Okay? So, kung parang medyo stuck pa kayo and you need to listen to this episode again to just take stock of everything that happened, go ahead and do that. If you have people in your life that you feel would be helped by this episode, go ahead and share it with them. If you want to share something, you can join the conversation sa Trying Hard Podcast community on Facebook. And of course, if you want to share something in public, go ahead and tag me at Lyqa Maravilla on Twitter, Instagram, and everywhere else. And use the hashtag Trying Hard with Lyqa, Trying Hard with LYQA, para mahanap namin yung inyong mga insights. Alright? Thanks for joining me in this conversation. As we always say sa podcast na to, we're just getting started. Don't forget to dream big, work hard, start now, and try not to think about what everyone else thinks of you. Kaya niyan, and I'll talk to you soon.